Alright folks, how's it going? So in my last pickups video there, I mentioned that I was going to be getting something else from a new local fella, a new friend. So this is what I got. It's US Colecovision, an NTSC version. As you can see, my PAL version sitting in underneath here. Um, so yeah, it's a bit of a story, really. I met this new guy who lives about 5 or 6 miles away from me. I was actually introduced to him via Electric Adventures, Tony, who lives in Tasmania on the other side of the planet. Yeah, so uh, basically, the new guy who I've met is called Alan, and he had been watching Tony's videos, or I was friends with him on Facebook, and he contacted him asking him did he know anyone who could put an AV mod in the ColecoVision. So Tony sent him to me because we live close to each other. But long story short, Alan has actually changed his mind about this. He's bought himself an Atom computer and another ColecoVision, and he decided to sell this one, so I bought it off him. So I didn't have to pay any shipping on this, which was nice. If you can see, it's in really, really nice condition. It's pretty much perfect. So it is. The sticker and all across the front's really, really nice. Um, yeah, no major dings or damage, just needs a good clean. Yeah, so really happy to get this. So I have managed to get it tuned into this TV. The picture works, but I can't get the sound to come through. It's just like a static hiss. But I'm guessing because this is an NTSC machine and I'm trying to tune it into a PAL TV tuner. I'm guessing that's what the problem is. So the TV seems to be somewhat compatible. I am getting a colour picture through it, but like I said, no sound. So I have my AV mod, which I bought for my PAL ColecoVision. I've decided I'm just going to leave the PAL ColecoVision as standard. I'm just going to keep it nice, keep it good. So I've got my AV mod here, which I'm going to put into the NTSC one. I'm going to use it as my main system. So I'm going to put the AV mod in and probably do a few other mods on it as time goes on. But for now, yeah, the AV mod is priority. Basically, it's the quickest way for me to test if there's a problem with the sound chip. I don't suspect there is, but once I put the AV mod in, I'll be 100% sure. If I get sound through, the TV here is full, the SCART socket in it is NTSC compatible. So if there's still a hiss once I put this in, then I know there's a problem with the sound chip in this, and it will have to be repaired. So it's actually a lot easier to install the AV mod into this than it is in the PAL machine. Basically, on the NTSC machine, you pop open the RF modulator inside and basically solder 3 wires in, and that's it. On the PAL version, you have to cut a resistor out and snip a wire, and you're actually soldering the wires to the motherboard, not the modulator. So it's a lot easier to install it in the NTSC. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to stick this AV mod in here. I probably won't show any details of me actually doing it. I'll just show it once it's finished, and we'll see if there's any problems once it's done. The first major difference I've noticed is the NTSC model actually has an RF jack on it, or RF port, and a channel switcher. On my PAL machine, the aerial lead is hardwired inside it, so you can't unplug the RF cable from the PAL machine, but you can on the NTSC machine. It takes the same power supply, so I'm just using my power supply from the PAL machine, although I did get the power supply with the American version. A huge big monster of a thing. It's pretty much the same power supply as the UK one, only the UK one has a wire coming out the side of it which goes to the plug, whereas this one just is meant to plug straight into the wall socket, which is a really stupid idea, but yeah, that's what they did. Okay, so that's the AV mod temporarily in place. I didn't obviously mount it into the case because I wanted to test it first. So everything for the NTSC version of the Colecovision, everything is soldered into the RF modulator. So the orange wire is 5 volts, the yellow wire is video, and the white wire is audio. There are some extra wires on this, so there's X, Y and Z, if you can see at the top there. They're specifically for the PAL version of the Colecovision, so we don't need to use those for this. So I have Donkey Kong in at the minute, and as you can see it's working fine, and the audio is working fine as well. Just turn the volume up a bit here. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I had to mess about with the brightness and contrast on the television. When I first turned it on, it was extremely dark. I have this just in through Composite at the minute. I did have it, or did test it with a SCART adapter as well, and it's exactly the same. There's absolutely no difference with using this, which is pretty understandable. It's just converting Composite to SCART. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not perfectly crisp, but it's coming from the RF box, so really in my mind it should be the same quality as what the RF would be. It's a little bit stripy on the blue screen there, if you can see the vertical stripes on it. But once the game itself starts, it looks fine. So I just turned the light off on the phone there. This phone is not great at focusing on screens, but hopefully you'll get a rough idea. It's not perfectly crisp like an emulator would be, but it's working fine. Audio is working fine. The picture is nicely centered on the screen. I'm happy. So I just have to get those connectors installed into the back of the case, and then I can wrap this up. So when I first installed the mod, the picture was all over the place on the television. It was all wavy and terrible looking. And when I double checked, this is the instructions. It's a PDF file that came with the mod when I bought it. You know, the guy has a link on his eBay page for this PDF file. So the same guy sent this through basically. So at the bottom there, as you can see, it says 12 volts on that pin. But on the mod itself, it says 5 volts. And that was the problem. I followed the instructions and I was feeding 12 volts into it when it should only have been 5 volts. So I prodded round the modulator with my multimeter until I found 5 volts on this pin rather than 12 volts on this bottom pin here. And once I'd done that, everything went perfectly. Okay, so that's it, pretty much finished. I just need to put the top half of the shielding back on and the top half of the case. What I did was I've actually opted not to drill holes in the case. So I took the wires from the mod here, which I need to stick down again. So the wires come down here, and I've just soldered them straight on to the ends of the AV cable. Actually just snipped the ends off the cable, soldered it straight to the mod, and I fed the AV cable right round the case here and out through the hole for the standard aerial lead. So in theory the standard aerial lead should still work. I'm just really taking feeds from the board here on the RF box. So I'll test that once I have it all back together, but the only thing worrying me is if the case is going to go back together with this wire stuffed down in here. But I'll soon find out. But it's all working. The mod was only for mono sound, so I've actually joined the two mono cables together, so I now have dual mono. It's not stereo, but it feeds both channels on the TV, so it's coming out both speakers. So that was a little sort of addition that I did. So there's 3 core to the cable, video and 2 audio. So one last thing I did here was to remove that horrible sticker from the top of it. I actually put it inside. It's consumers, please note, please read the owner's manual carefully, and then a toll-free helpline. So yeah, that was just stuck right on the top, which seems to be normal on all the American versions. So I took it off and cleaned off a bit of sticky stuff that was left behind. Alright, that's it, finished, all back together. This is the wire that's hanging out the back of it. It's about 1.5 feet long, that sort of length. That's fine. I didn't want a huge big long lead hanging out of the back of it with my PAL unit, because the aerial lead is hardwired. It's about, I don't know, about 10 foot, the aerial lead, which is absolutely ridiculous. So if I need these to go longer to reach a television, I can just use extenders, you know, like a female to female extender, and then just plug another cable like this into it. So that's not a problem. That's the way I wanted it. Round the back of it, it's just coming out of the aerial port there. It is well supported inside because it's wrapped in and out of the sort of the legs or the spuds that are inside here, as you've seen. So it's not going to go anywhere. It goes right round the whole console and then joins up to the mod at the front here. So the only thing I have left to do is refurbish the controllers. They are both a bit dodgy. The fire buttons don't work very well on them, but they just need a clean. They're, you know, over 30 years old now, so they've probably never been taken apart. They do work for the most part. The fire buttons, you have to really hammer the fire buttons hard to get them to work, so I will do that probably later tonight. I'm not going to make a video about refurbishing the controllers. Really, there's not much to them, just a matter of cleaning the contacts in them. So future plans for this are, I would like to put a pause mod in. It's quite a simple mod. You just need a switch, and there's actually one of the pins on the CPU is a weight pin, so you basically wire it up to the switch, but you also have to wire the sound chip up so that when you pause it, it cuts the sound. So I'm going to be looking into that. And also when you turn the American version on, there's about a 10-second wait before you can actually do anything. It's like a splash screen, which is built into the BIOS. My PAL version, my PAL Colecovision, doesn't wait as long. It still brings up the splash screen, but it's only 3 or 4 seconds. Whereas the American one seems to wait for forever when you're sitting waiting on it. So there's a mod out there as well for getting rid of that wait time in the BIOS. I assume it means replace the chip, but I'll look into that in the future. And there's also a new video chip has been brought out for these. It's called an F18A, and basically you take the main video processor off the board and you replace it with this modern equivalent, which allows you to do modern outputs. You can do VGA and even HDMI, and from what I've seen, the quality is absolutely perfect. It's basically like playing an emulator on your screen. It's so crisp. But they're expensive. I think it was about $68 if I remember to buy that chip. Also, the main video chip on these is soldered to the board, so it'll be getting sent away, probably back to Dave, to get him to install it. I would not be confident enough to unsolder a large chip like that, or any chip from something that I don't want to break. Basically, I'll have a go at something that I don't care about, but yeah, I would like to maybe try and get one of them at some stage. But that's all in the future. For now, I'm happy enough with the AV mod. So hope you enjoyed watching, guys. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them as always. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.